Hi, my name's Ted, and today we're going to go through a CDL pre-trip, and hopefully it will help you learn your pre-trip. So together, let's get started. As I approach the Motorcoach, I make sure it's not leaning to one side and that there are no puddles or fluid leaks underneath. So the first thing we need to do is an air brake test. We start by parking on a flat surface and chalking the wheels. This will ensure the bus doesn't roll or coast. It will stay in position. And then we need to go on up into the cab and perform a safe start. That always includes putting on the seat belt. The first thing we need to do is release some of the air from the brake system by pumping the service brake pedal 3 or 4 times. You'll hear the air bleed off. Then we want to start the Motorcoach. As the engine cycles, it'll warn us that it's okay to start, and we start the Motorcoach. I tell the examiner that the pressure is stabilized, then shut down the engine and turn the key 1 click forward to accessory. I release the parking brake and listen for any leaks. Next, I step on the foot brake and hold it for 1 full minute. There should be no more than 3 psi lost at that time. Next, I fan the brakes to check warning systems. Between 80 and 55 psi, the low air warning light and alarm should activate. And then between 45 and 20 psi, the parking brake should automatically set. I restart the engine. The ABS light should come on briefly, then go out. I'll rebuild air pressure again. Now, I test the brakes. With the vehicle in drive, I gently press the accelerator to test the parking brake. Then I move forward slowly, making sure the Motorcoach doesn't pull to one side or another. In the driver area, I point out that my gauges are rising to proper levels. The oil pressure gauge should be between 40 and 60 psi. The amp gauge around 27 amps. I'll make sure the fuel and def gauges are operable and full. I test the defrost and heat, the horn, and adjust the mirrors, making sure they're clear, intact, secure, and operable. I'll check the windshield, make sure that there's no cracks or chips bigger than a dime or a crack that would obstruct the driver's view. And I'll confirm the wipers and washer system works, and I make sure the wipers are not cracked or dry rotted and that they're properly secured. Lastly, I verify the backup camera and make sure it's functional. Next, I'll test all the lights, starting with the headlights, the high beam and the low beam, the left and right turn signals, lastly, the 4-way flashers. Then I ask the examiner to verify the external lights as I point them out. The headlights in the front, the turn signals, the flashers, and clearance lights. And then in the rear of the bus, the brake lights, the turn signals, the flashers, and the reverse lights. In the passenger area, I check that all seats are securely mounted, cushions are attached, and that the seat belts are functional. Make sure the restroom is functioning properly, that the door works and secures, and that the light functions. I'll check all exit windows and roof hatches. Make sure that they're clearly labeled, not damaged, and that they latch securely. I am now going to demonstrate to make sure that I have my emergency exit in proper working order. Making sure that it opens and then secures. I'll check the safety equipment. Our fire extinguisher should be secure, safety pin intact, the gauge in green, and that the tag is not expired. In the entryway, I release air to open the entry door, ensuring it opens and closes correctly. I check the door handle, the step treads, the entry handles, making sure they're all secure, and I want to make sure the entry lights are working and that they're undamaged. Now that we're outside, I'll resume my pre-trip here on the left front side. I begin by scanning the driver's mirror and windows, making sure glass is not cloudy, broken, or missing. I make sure the mirror is attached. Glass would not be cloudy, broken, or missing. Then down at the fuse compartment, I make sure there are no leaks, wiring is intact, and spare fuses are present. Moving down, I check wiper fluid levels and make sure they're full. I'll check the steering gearbox and make sure it's secured to the frame. Hoses are not cracked or leaking, and the pitman arm and drag link are tight and aligned. Make sure the castle nut is properly secured with cotter pin in place, and check that the spare tire is present. Up front, I begin with a visual scan from top to bottom. Starting with the clearance lights, I make sure they are not cloudy, dirty, broken, or missing. These are important call-outs and descriptors that you can utilize in your test. I'll make sure the windshield has no cracks or any marks bigger than a dime. The wipers should not be broken, dry rotted, and they should have proper tension. Mirrors should be attached, not cloudy, broken, missing, or loose. All headlights and turn signals should not be cloudy, cracked, broken, or missing. On the right front side, I inspect the door to make sure there are no broken or missing windows. I already checked the door to make sure it was operational, so I'll just confirm there are no broken or missing pieces here. At the steer tire, I first check for any audible or visual leaks in brake lines and hoses. I then check my ABCs of tires, making sure there's no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, and that tread depth is at least 4/32. Proper tire inflation should be 100 to 110 psi. I'll make sure the rim is not cracked or that there are no illegal welds. Lug nuts are all tight with no rust trails present and no oil leaking from the hub. Brake pads should be clean, free of oil and grease. Suspension components should be secure and free of damage. Airbags must be mounted with no leaks or cracks, springs present and aligned, not cracked or broken, and shocks secured with no bushing showing. Again, it's important to use strong descriptors in our callouts. At the bay doors, I'll open and close the bay to verify that the latch and seal work. Inside, there should be 3 reflective triangles, a fire extinguisher which should be secured. The needle should be in green showing it's charged, the pin in place with a current inspection tag, and make sure all the wiring is properly stored and secured. Moving towards the rear, the lights should be working and properly secured, not cloudy, cracked, or missing. Reflective tape should be at least 50% covered, properly fastened and not missing. Fuel and def tank should have no leaks. Cap should have proper seals. The battery compartment should be clean, terminals tight with no corrosion. In the right side engine compartment, I'll check the power steering fluid to make sure it's at the proper level. I'll make sure that the fuel filter is not full and that electrical wiring is not cut, frayed, or rubbing. Now, at the rear engine compartment, we first look for any noticeable fluids or air leaks. I'll check my fluid levels, the engine oil, and the coolant. I'll check the belts and make sure that they have proper tension and that they are undamaged. I'll close my engine bay door and make sure it latches and is properly secured. And I'll do another visual check of my clearance and tail and reverse lights to make sure that they are not cloudy, cracked, broken, or missing. I'll then tell the instructor that the left side is inspected in the same way as the right. This concludes the pre-trip of our Motorcoach. I know it's hard and detailed, but it's important for a safe trip. So on behalf of Anderson Coach, I'm Ted. Good luck and see you next time.